Greetings, future people and book nerds. Oh, don't be ashamed. I'm as big a book nerd as they get. But then, like every writer is, I think. There's probably exceptions. There's always exceptions. But most book writers, especially fiction book writers, we're just huge nerds. That's why we're writing, because it's so much we gotta share. Okay, so today's video, I wanted to go over why I'm writing, and then writer goals, and then third, go over a little bit of an introduction for how I'm writing. Let me check a text real quick. Wonderful. Okay. So, why I'm writing, of course, reason number one, I want to. I really do feel that. I guess I was created, designed, born to do this. At least at this point in my life, it's my passion. It's what I really enjoy doing. It's what I want to do. And like there's other things I do, and I do enjoy them, but it's the main thing. It's the key thing. I'm not sure why. I'm kind of a loss for words, but it is something that I really want to do. So that's reason number one. I guess reason number two, it kind of follows in line with reason number one, but Kat, what are you doing? Feeling frisky. I find it easy, and I've always found writing easy. And it was kind of weird is I didn't quite realize that, like going into high school, doing a lot more, because I was homeschooled up till high school, and in high school I went to a private school. So in high school, to me it felt like I did a whole lot more writing assignments than I did in the younger grades, and maybe that made sense because college is, oh my soul, so much writing. But I found it pretty easy, and I've already mentioned in the previous video how one of my big inspirations was my literature teacher, because she was a published author, and still to this day her books are extremely rereadable. Actually, it's been a little while. I probably need to read them. Yeah, Miss Rosie Dow was her name, and she was a huge influence. I still think to this day of the encouragement she gave when she read my essays, which would eventually become book number one. There you are again. What is it? Is there something on my foot? He's like coming up and touching my foot. He doesn't usually. Actually, he's never done this particular thing. He's a cat, so he's always been curious. Anyways, looking at my notes here. I'm kind of gonna do, because I almost wanted to do some more of like what inspires me video, but I think I want to do those individually because there's a lot of things that have inspired my writing and that I'm pulling from. But I guess I'll move on to what I'm want to attempt to do. Is I do want to write. I want to eventually write the Lord Vondorf series to be 17 book series. Yes, 17 books at least. There's possibility for more, but what I might do is the main story will go 17 books, but I'll do other books alongside that'll be ancillary, extra. Well, they'll be like on the other characters. Like right now, I have a list in my main notebook here. Let's see if I can find it. At least I thought I did. Or no, I do. I thought it was here. I'm not sure. Nope, that's not it. And that's one. Come on, John. Where'd you put your notes? Seriously, I thought it was right on top here. I just moved stuff around, so it's probably my own fault. These are notes on the writing class. Took a college writing class from Brandon Sanderson, very successful published writer. He did a whole online course, college course. I want to say 11 or 12 videos. I took notes on that thing. Well, I thought I had it up front. Sitting right here in front of me the whole time. All right, so I have 5 book ideas that are just independent, single, one-off books. I don't know if they'll be novellas. They'll probably wind up being novels because I like writing. But get the Tragedy of Felix. He's a character that shows up in book 2. Merlin's Return to Camelot. That one could be very interesting. That one could develop into a series, but that also touches on copyright material, so I'd have to like work out with whoever owns the Camelot series. Colin of Casustra, that's a character I created. Also, that shows up in book 3. More than likely, I have a feeling that's one of those characters. When people read through it, they're gonna be like, "Well, what happens to him?" And so a book will be needed. Punk Lawyer Adventures of Wesley Seeger. That's an inspiration. It's actually on a game me and my nephew played, but my nephew will be having a large part in writing that story. He kind of already did. We kind of developed a sort of an outline, which I think I have on my phone. And then Bounty Hunter's Charge. Bounty Hunter's Charge. I think that's what I wrote. Anyways, yeah, so I have book ideas that are separate from the main series. And right now, I actually have planned out and am designing 8 of the 17. So right now, this series will be 8 books, but I know I want to do more in the future, and I already have a vague idea of what I want to do. But kind of back to the main point. So I want to write a book series. I've made that clear. I want it to be fun. I want it to be engaging, enjoyable, all rereadable. That's key. I want to write a really good series, and that's I'm trying to put as much effort into that. Pull from so many sources. With the internet, you just have access. I'm pointing at my screen over here. You have access to so much online. The internet, it's amazing. It's awesome. I love it. Because besides writing, I'm a research nerd. Literally research everything. And if you look at other videos on my channel, you have a pretty good idea of that. But polymath maybe? One day. I don't know if I'm there yet, but love researching all kind of topics. And the internet that has grown up and appeared in my generation. Because when I was young, this wasn't a thing. The internet came out in the 90s for us, the public. The military already had it. And I guess the science world, but whatever. It's been a huge boon to society. Yeah, there's negatives to it, of course there is, but people talk about that way too much. We're talking about positive here. And all the information that you can get at your fingertips. For a writer, oh, it's amazing. I have access to the world's best writers. I can watch their interviews. I can listen to what they say, even if it's just quick clips. Those are usually, they're wise sayings. It's awesome stuff. Even writers that I don't particularly care for, they still have knowledge. They still have skill and experience, especially if they're published, successful. You want to hear what they have to say because it's gonna be of benefit to you. So all that to say, I'm trying to pull as much as I can from as many places as I can to create something awesome. Because my understanding in life is, well, that's kind of how life works. The best things are hybrids, combinations. They're very eclectic. Look it up. I mean, that's what makes America so awesome. And yeah, I think America's awesome. Of course it has flaws. Once again, we're focusing on the positive. The Constitution, the Magna Carta, and that's kind of in a similar line. I'm trying to think. I know I've come across in my studies and all the things I've looked at, so many things. I mean, some of the great empires of the past, the Persian Empire, the Byzantine Empire, that's a very good example. And the British Empire too. I mean, they had some very serious flaws, but at the same time, there was that eclectic nature, pulling from many cultures, becoming one. And even though, in modern historical revisionism, whatever, people don't want to admit all the benefits that the British Empire had on the world, once again, I'm very well aware of their negatives. Everybody's aware of them. They overblow it and sometimes misrepresent it. No, they too often in academic circles today, it's 2021, misrepresent the bad things that the British Empire did. But they did do them. That's a fact. I know that. But for the third time, because I know some of y'all stubborn in your head, for the third time, I'm trying to focus on the positive. So there's a lot of benefits that the British Empire had to the world and all the nations they affected. And that is seen today if you're willing to look objectively and say, oh yeah, this nation and so on, they have a lot better standard of living. They have a lot more just good things. standard of living really does sum it up, because the term standard of living just comes. And I'm getting off on a rabbit trail, oh my soul. But still, my love of history and politics and all of that, my goodness, that ties right into creating this fictional world, because I want my fictional world to be realistic. So, point is, I'm pulling from many sources and all my knowledge and a lot of different areas. I got my books here, well, some of them, to try and make this a very real, lived in, detailed world, universe. Well, ultimately, it's a multiverse, because my characters do deal with other universes and worlds and stuff that are outside their realm that they live in. And that's because the main character and a couple of his associates have these magic abilities, to put it simply. So it's exciting to be creating all of these characters, and I'm gonna throw up the picture. Let's see. Oh, that's right. I use this button. Yes, that's the button. Gotta remember. Still learning my OBS Studios here and how it works. Okay, so these two faces here. Now, of course, as you see, I have what do you call it? Actors. This is Dylan O'Brien, and that's Thomas Brody Sangster. He's an American actor. He's a British actor. But just when I picture my characters, my two main characters of Daniel and Aaron, it's these two. So that's why their faces are here. And I intend to, I've already started practicing, but doing drawings for my book of these characters. Of course, it's a dream, and in the future it'd be awesome to do collaboration with these guys and have them. It'd be cool to make have costumes made for them, and then have them actually do like videos and just be part of the marketing for the book. That'd be amazing, because it would just be cool to have, you know, living characters that people, especially in modern times and the generation going up, they're very visually oriented. So, and this book is written for primarily 7 to 12-year-olds, but anybody can enjoy it. And obviously, once the 7 and 12-year-olds grow up, just like we did with our Narnia and our Tolkien and Star Wars and everything else, when you grow up with something, then you're a fan for life. So, point is, I've got a lot of ideas that I'm trying to put together and watch. I'm going to say point is again. That's just one of my things. So, let's see what I want to do. Oh, I want to go back to. One day I'll get smooth at this. I am not smooth at this at all. All right, I want to go to publisher goals, or my goals. Yeah, my goals as a writer, not publisher goals. I have 8 of them, and from wiser people, other writers. It's been highly recommended, and I see it's a very sensible thing to do. Have goals, for where you're trying to go. So I just want to try and go over those, try not to take too long. I actually practiced this video once before, and I think I went too long on these things. But here we go. Focus. So my first goal is an obvious one. Oh, that's right. I wanted to stop and explain this first. I'm at this point in my writing where I already have, all kinds of notes, loads of notes here on the computer. I've already written out the first 3 books and edited through them several times. I want to say at least 4 for all of them, and then like 6 for number 1. I'm working on number 6 now. So I've already written out books 1 through 3. I'm partially through book 4, and of course, as I've already said, I want to kind of show a little bit of how I do that in the third part of this video. But different authors will have different goals. Some, that might be their first goal, right? Get the book written, get the first book written, or whatever. And it's different for some people. They might need to be like, it's hard to write, they have mind block, whatever. And just writing that first chapter is a goal. So whatever your individual goals are as a writer, because I know I'm talking to future writers here, you choose the goals that work for you. For me here, especially with this video, I'm already like past a bunch of small goals, though to me, and it's just where my mindset is, it's just, hey, if I want to write, I've got to do this, just do it. So it's like I don't know, natural duty or something. I don't know, like I mentioned earlier, I find writing easy. I love it. It's fun. I don't know if I've really had writer's block yet. I probably have, because I know I've had moments where I wanted to write and I sat down and worked maybe a little bit, or I sat down to write. I was like, well, I couldn't. But I don't let it bother me. If I can't write, I do something else. And especially since I'm a research nerd, if I'm researching one of two things. I'm either researching all my other hobbies, history, politics, conspiracy, or I'll research something that's related to the book in some way, even if it's just one facet of the book, like a video on economics or a video on specific sciences that relate with space or something. Something that will be useful in my science fiction book. So just don't be afraid to go and do other things if you run into that whole writer's block situation. Again, I don't think I really have to deal with that much, but that might be just my mindset. I don't let it become a problem. Of course, some would say, you're early on in the process, you'll get to it later. Okay, and we'll see. I've been writing since 2017. It's 2021 right now, like earnestly writing and editing. So it's only been a few years, and there's plenty of writers that have been doing it way longer than I have. But then, I don't know that I've heard every writer say that they necessarily deal with writer's block in a huge way. I have heard some act like and talk about it. I just saw it yesterday on one of our writer blogs or Facebook chats. They were really dealing with it, and it's not the first time I've seen that. So I do know that some people deal with writer's block in a big way. I don't. I'm not trying to brag either. I'm just stating I don't think I do. Anyways, so here it is again. All that to say, each person is at a different place in their writing. They have a different way of writing, all of that. So this is going to be me. My first goal, as I've already mentioned, is just get published. That's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is begin making royalties. And for those who might not know, because I'm sure there's some of you, especially if you're younger, you're like, royalties, what is that? Well, it has nothing to do with being a king. In this case, royalties is money you earn for things that you have out there. In this case, books, because it can be movies, it can be music. There's a number of things. When you work on it, you build it, you put it together, and then you send it out in the world, and it earns money. That's royalties. At least that's my definition of it. You can use the internet, look it up, get a better definition than that. But begin making royalties. That's goal number 2. Goal number 3 for me is having reached the mile marker of having sold 200,000 copies of my first book. And you say, why that number? Because that's the average, at least from what I've studied. That's the average number that book authors sell. They will at least sell 200,000 in their life. So if my book is horrible and nobody likes it, nobody reads it, on average, I'm going to eventually get to 200,000 sold and solve, hey, goal reached. But obviously, I'm trying to design it, trying to put it together to be something far better, something good, like hopefully on the level that it becomes a favorite of hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. Obviously, that would be amazing. But anyways, hey, how fast I reach goal 3 is a pretty good sign. If I reach that goal really quickly, my goodness, that's good. So, but I recognize that's a goal, and I have it as step 3 to have sold 200,000 copies of my first book. So, goal 4 is publishing the second book. Just for the record, as of right now, whenever I do get a publishing company, and I am currently in the query process, which is looking for a book agent. Once I find a book agent, they will help me get a professional editor and a publishing company, and then we'll work out the deals. So since I'm early in the query process, it could still be the rest of this year. Right now it's June, and so it could be the rest of this year before I even find a book agent, and then it could take, for whatever time's left of this year and all of next year to get a deal, contract worked out with the publisher. So, I should also bring up, I would love to get, so my dream publisher would be the big publishing house of Penguin Random House, or any of the subsidiaries or divisions underneath. And there's a lot of them. 3 examples are Knopf Doubleday. I'd really like that one for a particular reason. Crown Publishing, Viking Press, and there are 197 other companies. They do about 15,000 books per year, 800 million copies of their books. They bring in 3.3 billion annually. They are the last I checked. This is current as of this month, last month maybe, last month. Current as of last month because that's when I looked this up. Penguin Random House at 3.3 billion annual income was the largest book publisher in the world, and I have the other 5 listed. But that doesn't really matter. That would be my dream publisher. Somebody, some company under Penguin Random House, if not them themselves. Just for the record. So I was going through the goals. 1, publish. 2, begin making royalties. 3, sell 200,000 copies. 4, publish book number 2. 5, and this is where I haven't marked that we're getting into the big dreams. This is the impossible stuff. The stuff that the realistic, really the pessimists out there would be like, oh, you're never going to do that. Almost nobody does that. Percentage. And, you know, all that other negative talk, which, yet again, poo-poo on that. So my big dream, first big dream as far as a writer, become a bestseller. And that would be up to my publisher. They would, you know, with the numbers of the day, they have to go over the numbers. It doesn't necessarily have to be New York Times bestseller because that's one version of a bestseller. Again, the publisher would know, but it would be like a certain amount of books are being put out each year of my book. Then it's just a science to it. You've reached bestseller status. So whenever my publishing company says, "Hey, you're officially a bestseller," goal reached, goal number 5, and yeah, technically that is a reachable goal, but any again, the realistic person, I put my fingers up because in my understanding of studying and looking and examining and observing people, there are only 2 kinds: negative thinking people and positive thinking people. And a bunch of the negative thinking people like to brand themselves as realistic. I've not yet met a realistic person that wasn't being negative. They're all being negative. They might be out there. There's always exceptions. They're just, in my experience, all these realistic people, they're not being realistic, they're being negative. That's my opinion there. Take it or leave it. So become bestseller. So this is the one of the easier of the big goals. And here's the other ones that you know, they are out there. But I'm shooting for them. I'm hoping to get there. And again, that's why I'm designing the book the way I am. That's why I'm putting the effort I'm putting into it. That's why I've already got 3 books written, and I'm before I go to try to find a publisher, and that's why I'm doing a whole lot of editing myself. I want this thing to be good. Goal number 6, earn enough royalties to live off of. Obviously, that would be amazing, but if that's happening, then my books are doing good. You know, obviously, some of the other great writers you can think of in life today, not in the past, but today, they do live pretty well off of their book sales. That's goal number 6. Goal number 7, become a well-known author. This would be like getting to the level of Rowling and Stephen King and Brandon Sanderson, like name recognition among book nerds and even a little beyond. But that would be amazing. So those are the big 7 goals. But if you remember, I did mention 8. Number 8 is the goal of all goals when it comes to this kind of writing, science fiction, fantasy. Having a TV or movie show offer. I should say movie or TV show offer. Those would go together. That would be amazing. That would be incredible. But that is far future. That's why it's on the goal list. That's why it's at the top. And that's why it's on the big pie in the sky, ridiculous goals. All right. So without taking too much more time, I did want to do a little bit of an overview of how I do my writing. My story started, like my actual story started as specific dreams, very vivid dreams that I've remembered and stuck with me long after I woke up. Because allegedly we humans dream every single night, most healthy humans, but I don't remember most of my dreams. And most people I talk to and most people online who talk about it, most people don't. So when a dream sticks with me, it stands out. I'm like, man, why do I remember that thing? But these dreams were very specific. They were a character, because it wasn't me, it was a character, and he was doing certain things, and I was seeing it. And I was just like, well, I should write this. This would make a great book. And that happened back when I was a teenager, years back. So, and I have it. Oh, actually, that's what I should do. Come on, John, get on top of things. I have this here. This is a copy of the front page of my main notebook. This was the first notebook that I started taking down. As you can see, I had a title up there. I have all kind of notes on the thing, but this is the. It shows the date. This is one of the big reasons I put this up. This is when I started, 2002. This is when I got serious, like saying I need to write down these things. This would make a great story. And ever since then, up until 2017, it was kind of just collecting notes, thinking about it occasionally, maybe writing a little bit, looking things over. So just kind of slowly fermenting, sort of like building up this big mental machine for writing, which is now is in full force. It's like a train. It's going, and it's been going, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. So I started writing, and here's an example. This is, in my mind, this is a second draft. It could be a third, but this is where I started writing the story out in the book, and I had it separate because I mentioned in the other video, I might have mentioned it here, that I started writing this story out in class. So this would be third version because I wrote it once in the notebook, or no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I told my brothers the story. It was all in my head. That's right. I told my brothers the story first. The gist of the story, anyways. Most of the elements remain the same. There's a few changes. So I told my brothers the story first, and then in class, when Mrs. Dow had us do the essays and write whatever it is we wanted, so I started writing chapters of my story. She loved it. That's when I realized, and it really hit me like, hey, I need to start really getting serious about this. So I made this notebook right here. You're looking at pictures from right here. So I still have it because there's still loads of things in here that I need to use for, especially book 5. That's where that notebook's really going to come in handy. But started writing it out, and then it was years later, and that's why there's a big X on it. I started putting it on the computer, and it'd mark off as I got the pages wrote. And that's kind of how I did the whole first section here. This whole first section was my early writing, the early parts of the story. The next sections are divided up, and I kind of have them marked here. But on just like notes on the world, there's a specific planet that I created or designed, and then specific character stuff, maps, just all kinds of stuff. So I start out writing, just actually writing the parts of the story that are in my head, and then taking notes and designing and collecting ideas for how I'm going to create the story, form the story. And note pages would look like this. It'd be random stuff. Some things that you can even see on there have marked scribbles across it because I said I had this idea and then I said no, I'm going to move on from that, or I change it to something else. So some pages, they don't have to have a story on it. They can just have your ideas. It's brainstorming would be what it's called, or occasional pondering. And a page like this page is years old. It's been looked at many times. I mean, the different style and colors, inks and everything can kind of give that away. Even have a few drawings on it. But just notebooks like that are extremely helpful for figuring out a story, even still to this day, because some things you just need to write down, or at least I'm that kind of person. I just need to write it down. Others might be good with using their head and doing stuff on the computer, and some people could even do that. They might even have pages on the computer where they do that very thing. They brainstorm on the computer. However you want to do it, that's entirely up to you. But I use a physical notebook, taking random notes, and then writing down the story that was ready. And I actually did not start doing outlining till more recently. Because I, especially in my studies, since 2017, studying and listening to how other authors do it, a lot of authors use the outline method. I should say, they use an outline and they use different methods. Because some are very strict about how they use their outlines. Others use it more loosely, which seems to be usual for me. I'm hybrid. I will sometimes, in certain areas of my book, use it very specifically. In others, I won't. Let me give you an example here. So this is an example, couple of pages from book 4. You can see basically everything on page 1 and then half of page 2. That's outline, and you see I have different colors. That's just me organizing the different individual thoughts. It's color coded because I know that, okay, these outline ideas, this is a certain, it could be a chapter or could story beat, however you want to look at it. I just do that to help organize what's on the page. And then you see in the last half is something I've written out. And that's an example of something where I had an inspired idea, like literally just a few weeks ago, this particular page. Had this inspiration, I was like, I gotta write that down. So I came and wrote it. So that's a specific story part that's already written. It'll, of course, be edited several times. It's not been edited yet. But this is how I use outlining. I use it to put out the story ideas that I know, okay, I already have an idea where the story's going, a general outline in my head. Like seriously, I know where the story is going all the way through book 8 and kind of into book 9, but I don't have to worry about writing 9 because there's this huge arc that's going from books 1 through 8. Gnat flying here. And so that's the part of the story that really needs to be cohesive, plus the lore, the history leading up to it. So there's kind of like two things, and the main thing is what's in the books, because obviously you want to write it to be consistent. Don't want to have plot holes. Don't want a good, strong, flowing story, something that's engaging and fun. So that's what I'm designing and working on, and this is a big part of how I'm doing it right now. Is anytime I get ideas and I know it's a good idea, I think about it for a little bit. I know where to plug it into the story, and I'll just throw it in the outline where it belongs. And then when I'm ready, what I do is I go and I'll just look at the outline. It's like, yeah, I know how to, and I just start writing. I just look at like that first sentence there. I will go, the one that's brown in color, I will go look at it, I'll read it, and I'll immediately know what it was I was thinking about around that story beat, and I'll just start writing it out. And at least I think I have heard other writers do this. I don't know if all of them do it, of course, but once you start writing, you get on here and start typing up, ideas come, and you can just keep on writing. And so you just write until you finish that chapter or that idea or whatever. So yeah, that's how I write, and that's just a brief example. Is that everything I wanted to share in this video? I think it might be. I have loads of notes, loads of things to share eventually, but I don't want to overload. I think I'll save these other things for another day. But I think that's all for now. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Those of you who are writers, get out there, do some writing. Again, don't be afraid to do the writing however you want to. If you want to take a physical book and sit down and just write, do that. Write it by hand. There's nothing wrong with that. It don't matter how far in the future we are. But if you're the kind of person that likes that computer, sit down at a computer and write. And if you're a younger person, maybe you don't own a computer yet, be a good kid. Be obedient, be respectful, like do everything you can so that your parents are like, man, you're being awesome. Or your guardian, what would you like for Christmas? A laptop, please? Something for writing. And it can be very basic, very simple. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. This one I'm going to show here is when, this is technically a big old fancy one. This is an Apple. It's not mine, it's my mom's. And technically, I think this one's kind of broken. But as long as you have some kind of device like that, you can write. It does not have to have internet access. It does not have to have anything fancy beyond a simple Word, writing. I mean, you can do it on like the very bones basic writing pad that comes with every computer, but you want to at least have Word, whatever Apple has. I don't know. You want to have a program that has the grammar stuff built into it, because that at least is helpful. Though obviously, if you do have internet access, you can make use of Grammarly. You got to have good internet access. My internet right now, where I live out in the sticks, is so poor I can't use Grammarly. I try to upload to Grammarly. It won't work. Our signal is too bad for it to be able to do that. But Grammarly is one of those great tools, and the internet has loads of tools. I've seen some writers, again, just yesterday, looking on the writers page on Facebook, this one lady listed 7 different online applications that are all free. At least I'm pretty sure they were all free. I know most of them, 5 of them for sure, because I'm familiar with them. They're free. I don't know about the other 2. They probably are. Most are. Free applications online that help you as a writer, help you with your grammar, help you with your word use, help you with looking things up concerning different parts of the book. Because some people need a lot of help in figuring out plot or characters or setting, how to do those things. Not everybody's like me, and that stuff comes pretty easy. Um, One of the reasons it probably comes easy to me is because I've been a nerd since I was little. I've grown up just immersing myself in all kinds of fantasy and fiction, science fiction. I haven't even read, the most science fiction. I've read very little science fiction, really, compared to all that's out there. And fantasy, I've read some of the best. Narnia, Tolkien, um, Harry Potter, and then Christopher Paolini's books. But I haven't even read Brandon Sanderson's books. I know they exist. I see them all over the place, and I probably would enjoy them. I just haven't got to read them yet. I'd like to read The Wheel of Time. That's a huge investment because it's a big series, and right now I don't have income, so I can't buy the books. So that's fine. As I'm in the middle of writing, it's not helpful for me to read all that much, anyways. But some writers can. I'm throwing out all kind of ideas here. Some writers, when they take breaks, they do that. They'll take a break and go read something, and that'll help them. And you can do that too. Others recommend not doing this. Is while you're in the writing process, until you finished it, until you finished the book or whatever, it's best not to read, and that's fine. I kind of agree with that, but I'm open to whatever comes along, whatever I need to do. But right now, I don't need to be reading other books. Of course, I have read a little bit with nonfiction, but to me, in my mind, it's like two separate worlds. Even though nonfiction, because I've done it, I've referenced some of these things, military books especially. Nonfiction can inform my science fiction fantasy world, especially world building. Oh my goodness, world building, yes. So, but it doesn't bother me to read something nonfiction. It's the fantasy stuff. It's the fiction stuff that I think might be bothered. But I think I'm kind of rambling now. All right, so yes, that was at the end here. Just a few bonus bits of advice for writing that I have currently. As I get older and wiser and a more seasoned writer, I'm sure I'll have a lot more, and it'll be a lot better. I'll probably be much better at saying it. But I think that's it. I'll go ahead and stop here. Thank you for your time. I hope you have an excellent day.